Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody, and once again, a very warm welcome to Soul Sister Show with host Schumacher and myself, and Anoulla. And today we have Thursday, April 30th. How nice we are in springtime, and maybe some of you around the globe have already feeling like a summer is coming. But here in Sweden, where I am, it's we have a lot of pollen, and we have the trees are kind of blooming right now, and it's wonderful, but it's not so hot. So we may have around 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. So for some of you, you may feel that's chilly. But here in Sweden and in Europe, I don't know, in the US or in other parts of the world, actually, we are celebrating something that in Swedish we call that Valborgsmässoafton. And I think in English it's Valpurgis night. And for me, as a traditional thing here, this is something we celebrate springtime, coming into springtime, real springtime. So what they do here, they actually gather around a big fire. I think it's called bonfire, a very big fire, and people sing, they celebrate, they interact with each other, and just celebrating that spring finally is coming. And of course, tomorrow we have May 1st, and that's also another celebration. In Greece, for instance, where I am most of the time, 1st of May is celebrating springtime coming to Greece. So there are slight, small differences. But here in Sweden, I think that 1st of May is mostly for celebrating the union's interaction with the workers to have good terms and conditions for the workers since 100 years ago sometime. And of course, now everybody's staying away, so there are no fires at this time of the year right now, this year. So I hope for next year we can celebrate it, but I'm certainly going to celebrate it at home, lighting some candles instead. And we are a live call-in worldwide radio show, so why don't you call in at 213-943-3587, 213-943-3587. If you are an international caller, you dial +1 before the number, so don't be shy, guys. Call us. I know we have some people here waiting in the queue already, so now is a great time for you to get your spot in the queue. And remember to press 1 on the keypad on your device to be placed in queue, so we see that you want to talk with us live on the show. And I'm Anne, coming to you live from Stockholm, Sweden. And on today's show, we are so excited to welcome special guest Patricia Li Zerman, discussing how can you honor you, plus your calls for questions and mini readings live on air. Patricia Li is a fantastic woman with many years of experience in the spiritual field. Tune in and listen to us talk to her about her book, 12 Guaranteed Ways to Be Free, plus much more. And as I said, we are a live call-in worldwide radio. I don't seem to be able to speak correctly today, so bear with me. Broadcasting today's show from Arizona in the U.S. and Stockholm, Sweden. And as usual, you can listen live and text chat with us during the show at scrollsofthesoul.com/live, scrollsofthesoul.com/live. And once again, give us a ring at 213-943-3587. 213-943-3587. Ask questions. Why not talk with Patricia, our special guest today? Maybe get a free mini reading or just learn something on the spiritual end. And if you're an international caller, you dial +1 213-943-3587. And guys, remember to press 1 on the keypad on your device to be placed in queue. And once again, we are welcoming special guest Patricia Li Zerman today, discussing how can you honor you. That's very important. Plus your calls for questions and me readings. And we will talk about Patricia Li's very special book, 12 Guaranteed Ways to Be Free. That is real good knowledge, isn't it? And if you haven't listened to our show before, we are the show that discusses the Akashic Records, soul realignment, healing modalities, and, of course, any and all spiritual topics. So we are passionate about talking about spiritual topics. And now we currently have listeners in 18 countries and growing, so that is a real honor to us. Call in at 213-943-3587, 213-943-3587. International callers dial +1 before the number, and remember to press 1 on your keypad to talk with us live on the show. You can visit us on YouTube. Just search for Scrolls of the Soul Radio directly on YouTube, and please, if you like us, subscribe to keep yourself updated on published full episodes that we are keeping there, and also that we show you upcoming shows. Let me bring on my co-host for Soul Sisters today, Sue, all the way from Arizona in the U.S. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Hi, Sissy. I'm fine. Just bearing out some of this allergy still and some hot weather we've got going on. Oh, my God. It's 100 degrees again, guys. We're back to the Arizona hot weather and rising. God, we're not fortunate where some people move into spring, and they could go from the colder weather to get warmer. Yeah. We go from, 60 degrees to 100 overnight. It's like somebody turned on a switch. And so it's quite shocking at first, when you're going from temperatures that are reasonably comfortable to these very high temperatures, And then, we start to get used to it after a while.
Yeah, I know. When I'm in Greece, actually, I think we have the same climate and weather. We basically have talked about that many times before. So right. It's only here. It's still cold here. This is kind of winter for south of Greece. So, but it's springtime here. So what am I going to say?
Yeah, everything's blooming. Everything's blooming over there, huh?
Yes, it is. A lot of pollen. Yeah. I'm not allergic, but I'm a little bit affected actually. So it's too much. It's like flour, all over the place, and you have to dust your home all the time. If you have a car, you can find it covered.
I bet. I bet.
Once again, guys, everybody listening to us, thank you for calling in, and there's still chance to get your spot in the queue. Call us at 213-943-3587. 213-943-3587. International callers dial +1 before the number and press 1 if you want to talk with us live on the show. And if you'd like to connect with me, Anne, or Sue, you can find us at scrollsofthesoul.com/Sue or scrollsofthesoul.com/Anne. Or why don't check us out at scrollsofthesoul.com. There's a lot of things you can find out about us there. And I think we are soon approaching here to actually start to talk with our guest. But before we move on with today's show, I know that my sissy wants to talk a little bit about last week.
Last week, we talked about the veil and how it's thinning and getting thinner. And it's, we barely kind of touched the surface on some aspects of that. So I'm probably going to tap back into that at another time in a future show, just because there's really a lot of information that you can discuss with the thinning of the veil and what that means for people, and how there's aspects I didn't even get into yet, like what's beyond the veil, so to speak. The where and when is the veil the thinnest? So there's a lot of areas we didn't even have a chance to get into. And one of the things I know we talked about last week was just the sense of feeling and knowing certain things, becoming aware. Because I think that, conversation with the veil aspect is about dropping that down and starting to see things for how they really are. And so when that veil is removed, you have this clarity that comes in, this knowing. And we kind of tapped on some things, both the positive and negatives when that happens. Because when you do drop that veil, so to speak, you start to see things. Not everything is roses and perfect, and there's polarities to everything. So when the veil drops, you start to see a lot more, and you learn. You learn some protection work with that. Your environment becomes richer, in my opinion. Once that happens, there's a whole new world out there, so to speak, that you see. So it's an interesting topic, and I think it's happening to more and more people around the world. There's this awakening, this awareness that there's something bigger going on. So that was last week's show, and I think like I said, we'll probably proceed forward and have a part 2 just because of time constraints. You really can't get into all of it.
Can I throw something in here? Because last week we did recommend a very good video, a film that's coming out, showing a little bit about what's happening, what's going on in the world. Of course, that's one point of the view, but it's very interesting, and many of us actually have a feeling that what's actually going on, what's happening, we can't put our fingers on it, even if we are very psychic. So it sometimes this is an eye-opening thing. So you can go to scrollsofthesoul.com/live. I published the link in the chat room at scrollsofthesoul.com/live, and you can go directly to the movie to outofshadows.org. Outofshadows.org.
Yeah, it's an intriguing film, and it just came out on the internet about a month ago. Oh no, maybe a couple weeks ago. I'm kind of dating myself here. I want to say the 10th. Sorry, the 10th of October, 10th of April is when that came out. It's quite interesting and quite revealing. And I think for those who've always known something isn't right, this is probably a good place to start. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to ask our guest to come forward, Patricia. Patricia, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Hi,
We're
Patricia.
so glad to have you.
Welcome.
How are you?
Well, I'm very, very good. Very good. We've had sun here in Atlanta, and our pollen is almost washed away. We have the same amount, evidently, that you do in Sweden, Anne, and so it's pretty. Everything's budding and blossoming, and it's quite beautiful. April and May and June are typically our best months.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice. Nice. So, welcome, by the way. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
I was wondering if you can share a little bit about yourself with the audience and this wonderful book that I see you have that you'd like to talk about.
Well, when I grew up with buck teeth, and I grew up feeling my mother was an alcoholic. She was a mushy alcoholic. She wasn't mean or abusive, but she just emotionally wasn't there. And so I felt very alone and grew up feeling insecure and inadequate. I mean, I never stopped, and I always had a little perseverance personality, but I was teased because of my buck teeth. And then when my sister came along, she was 11 years younger than I, and I pretty much raised her, and I guess now it would be abuse because I'd have to give her a bottle and change her diapers before I went to school, and I would worry about her putting her in the crib, wondering what time my mother would get up. And so I had the heaviness of responsibility, at 10 years old, 11 years old. And, then my parents finally divorced. And when my dad married my stepmother, I wanted him to be happy. My brother and I, my brother's a year younger than I, we lived with my dad, and my dad was able to get custody of my sister, and we were living in Florida, Sarasota, Florida. And I really wanted my dad to be happy. He was alone with us for about a year, 2 years, and then he married my stepmother, and she was a lovely lady and tended to be rather critical and a bit judgmental. So it went from culture shock of being on my own and taking care of our family to having to deal with another personality. And I felt very, very upset and alone. I felt abandoned by my dad in the same house. And I ended up finding a book called The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, and started reading that book because I was very, very unhappy. And that book gave me hope, and from there I found a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, and I started at a young age and I never stopped. I always wanted to find an answer. I always wanted to find solutions to what we have to face in life. And so I managed to go to school. I lived in Ohio for a couple of years. My parents sent me away because I was partying. I was never a bad kid. I just was a little drinking a little much. And so they said, you can go live with your cousin or you can move out and get an apartment. It seemed like the lesser of two odds to go to Ohio. So I went up to Ohio. I saw that I was pretty talented. I went very high up in a company without a degree, and then they begged me to get a degree, so I started in on that. And I had come to Georgia when I was 18 and fallen in love with it, with the trees, and it was so green, and there were seasons. So I ended up moving here, and I've been here ever since. And I made it through my undergraduate in business, which they said I couldn't do because I wasn't smart enough, and I was kind of like up yours and did it anyway.
Wow.
And I've always fought what people say I can't do because I believe that there's solutions, and you have to be your own advocate. You have to be your own adversary, which
right.
I have now termed selfishness with a capital S, meaning I have to love me if anyone else is ever going to love me. I have to want me if anybody else is going to want me. Everything begins with me. I have to start with myself with a capital S. And I ask people, can you go look in a mirror? Can you love that face looking back at you? If you want to marry or have a relationship, do you want a relationship with you? Because if not, why would anybody else? It all starts with me. And St. Francis of Assisi says it so well. What you are looking for is where you are looking from. And so that's always been my banner, per se. And then my sister ended up being murdered. It was a double murder in Charlotte, North Carolina. She wasn't following her intuition. She was with a guy that I think he had become a drug informant or some kind of informant to get her back because they had broken up. And she was with him. It was in January, and it was somebody came into the house and they shot my sister first. They gave her 5 bullets, 1 in each arm, 1 in each leg, and a kill shot. And then they shot him 8 times. So it was pretty gruesome. And I had already studied the Course in Miracles for a long time and worked on forgiveness. So when this happened, I have to say I wasn't willing to hate the person who pulled the trigger. And I was upset with my sister because she left me, because I'd let her live with me 3 times. She was a wild child, and I never gave up on her. But so that I've lived everything I share with people between my life experiences and that, which was a really big one, was knowing that if Karen, my sister, had really loved herself, she wouldn't have put herself in a situation that she did. I teach people to follow their intuition, to say yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no.
Right.
Not to go against your soul, because that's it. For people who believe in God or higher power or following your intuition is the only way something, whatever this energy is, I don't care what you call it, it doesn't matter. Physicists are even proving that it exists. There's something there, and if you don't listen, how can it communicate with you if not through intuition, if not through your gut? I even read an article about Christopher Reeves, who played Superman, and he said that his intuition screamed at him that day not to go ride the horse. It screamed at him, and he didn't listen, and he ended up paralyzed for the rest of his life. And I've read many cases like this and studied all kinds of alternative information to keep it broad, to keep it impartial. And I've watched more miracles in working with people over the years than I can ever count on hands and toes, because they were willing to say, I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to follow my gut at all costs. And it's not easy. Sometimes you have to be really, really strong, and you have to go against what, just like you guys, your show last week talking about, out of the shadows, this man didn't want to do the movie. He knew he had to do it, but he didn't want to do it. And after being out for a week, there were 9 million viewers because he followed his gut. And if we learn to follow our gut, if we learn to follow our intuition and look for others for support if it's difficult, or at least acknowledge it on the inside. You may not be able to do it on the outside. You can always acknowledge your truth on the inside and stand by it internally, regardless of what you may have to do externally. And the Bhagavad Gita, I know if I pronounce it correctly, talks about Arjuna having to go to war. And he said it's not you wielding the sword. It's an experience you may have to have. And so it doesn't mean that life's always, like you were saying earlier, Sue, it's not always peaches and cream. They're going to be dips. But it's like you know that there's a solution. You know that there's an answer, and you're always being pushed to open up, which there's so much material about this nowadays, which is wonderful and very validating. But I help people in a practical, simple way learn to honor you, put you first, because when you come first in your life, you're actually honoring everyone else. Why? Because there's no agenda. There's no hidden, there's no manipulation, there's no lying, there's no game playing, there's no scorekeeping. It's learning to say, this is me, this is my truth, this is who I am. You have a right to who you are and what your choices are. And then we have to make decisions within our life according to each person's individual personality, perceptions, wants, and needs. And so many people have to seemingly have something, and they sacrifice their life for that thing.
So let me ask you, the be selfish, with a capital S. So, a lot of people would argue, all right, and I'm just going to play the neutral one here, would argue that, it's hard for me to be selfish. I have all these other things I need to do for A, B, and C, and responsibilities. What would you say to someone who says that to you? You know, I can't take the time for me. I can't take the time to be that selfish.
Well, honestly, the truth is you can't take the time not to be selfish, because this is what happens that most people don't realize. Whatever I give myself up for reminds me of what I've done. So if I give my wants and needs up and make you more important than I, every time I look at you subconsciously, you remind me of what I've done to myself. So this is why you'll have people that have been married for 25 years, 10 years, whatever. One day they wake up and they can't stand to look at their spouse. They can't stand their job. Why? For all the shutting up and putting up with over the years that builds. Like, you can take phyllo dough, which is the thinnest dough there is, but after so many layers, you become immobilized. I use the analogy of gauze. Gauze won't hurt you in and of itself, but when you start wrapping yourself with it, you become absolutely motionless, immobilized. And that's what we do to ourselves. And then we become depressed, and we feel helpless and hopeless, but nobody's doing it to us but us. If I am not willing to honor myself, why would anybody else?
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. I agree.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add something that's very touching for me, and I agree fully with you, Patricia, because that's exactly what you need to do. I would just change the term. It's not selfish. We are taught that it's selfish to put yourself first. So we are supposed to adapt to traditions, to society, to a bunch of rules that it's already set for us. This is how you're supposed to behave. So sometimes we need to be very bold to step out of that and to follow.
And the selfishness that I'm talking about is with a capital S. The selfishness people are taught is martyrdom, sacrifice, and whoever came up with it in the first place knew what they were doing, because it's all manipulation. And most selfishness is with a little s. That's why I designate a capital S. Selfishness with a capital S means soul, spirit, self, stillness, quietness, that inner knowing that never is wrong. Never.
Yes.
Yep.
No, it's never wrong.
I agree.
It's never wrong.
I totally agree.
That was so beautifully said. Thank you.
Yes, and you have to have the courage to do it. It's like most people, and when I teach people right off the bat is, I love this saying, and it's really appropriate for today's world. When you point one finger out, you always have three looking back. So all these people that tell you you're selfish, they have one finger at you and three fingers at them. They're really trying to manipulate you to do what they want you to do by telling you you're selfish. And if you really if you really want to love people, you learn to tell the truth to yourself and tell the truth to them, because there is no agenda. You look at all the people in your life who you respect and revere, whether it's teachers or friends or neighbors, they always tell the truth. It may not feel comfortable sometimes, and I don't advocate using truth as a club. Be compassionate. How would you like it said to you? And have the courage to tell the truth, because you feel big, you feel expanded, you feel alive. That's where aliveness comes from, is honoring that self within, because you are valuable, because you are unique. You are the only one like you on the planet.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, ladies. So I'm just taking a couple of minutes here.
Can I say something on here? I see there's a question about somebody who's lost a cat.
Hang on a second, Patricia. Hold on, because we got to go to the bottom of the hour announcements real quick, and then we'll move into some questions in the chat room. Go ahead, Ann.
Yes. Thank you. So everybody listening to us, thank you so much for calling in, and we are going to take your calls in a little bit. And If you haven't called in yet, it's still time to get your spot in the queue. You can call in at 213-943-3587. 213-943-3587. International callers dial +1 before the number. And if you want to talk with us live on the show, you press 1. That places you in the queue. And on today's show, we are talking with special guest Patricia Li Zerman, discussing how can you honor you. And this is a really experienced and wonderful lady to listen to. So please, if you haven't heard all the show from the beginning, after this, you can listen to the rest of it when we are done. So it's very important, and she actually pinpoints and helps one to understand how important the relationship to self is first and above all. And she also have written a book, 12 Guaranteed Ways to Be Free. So you will hear a little bit about that. We are talking with Patricia Li Zerman. If you want to connect with Patricia, you can find her at AtlantaAwarenessCenter.com. AtlantaAwarenessCenter.com. And I did post 2 other links as well in the chat room, so you can go to scrollsofthesoul.com/live to find out how to connect with Patricia. More roads, so to speak, to find her. And if you'd like to connect with me, Anne, or Sue, you can find us at scrollsofthesoul.com/Sue or scrollsofthesoul.com/Anne. And you can always listen live and text chat with us during the shows at scrollsofthesoul.com/live. Our next upcoming show here on Scrolls of the Soul Radio is next Thursday, May 7th, with Soul Sister Show, and we will talk about soul realignment. We bring you new, exciting, special topics connected to soul realignment each first Thursday of the month. So tune in next Thursday and listen. Plus, we take your calls for questions and mini readings live on as usual. We will be on same time, 10 a.m. Pacific in the U.S., 6 p.m. London, 7 p.m. Sweden, and 8 p.m. Greece in Europe. And you can always keep yourself updated on our shows at scrollsofthesoul.com/upcoming. And we are always a live call-in worldwide radio, broadcasting today from Arizona in the U.S. and Stockholm, Sweden in Europe. And if you haven't called in yet, now is a great time to do so. We will soon start to take your calls, guys, so call in. Call in at 213-943-3587. 213-943-3587. International callers dial +1 before the number and press 1 if you want to talk with us live on the show. Ladies, I'm done.
Okay. Before we move into the chat or the phone calls, I just want to kind of quickly go through some of the aspects of the book that you've talked about. So I'll kind of run through some of them. So refuse to avoid and pretend and act, basically. Refuse to avoid, pretend, and act, right?
Refuse to. Whenever we avoid something, we don't realize that we give it more power.
Right.
Because through your avoidance, the what you're running from, what you're afraid to confront, what you're afraid to deal with, or if you want to pretend it's not there, you actually build the fear. If you think of the scale of justice or a set of scales, where is the weight going? Like if you lose something, if you want something and you are feeling fear around it, you're actually pushing the scale down on the side of fear instead of being willing to let go and say, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know, we'll see. And one of the analogies I have in the book that I made funny is if you had a rattlesnake outside your house and you went to leave and you opened the door and there it was and you slammed the door and came back inside and your heart's pounding, what would you do? It's like if you pretended it wasn't there, are you going to be able to walk outside to your car? Probably not. if you just wait long enough till it goes away, are you going to have any peace? No, because you don't know when it's going to ambush you. So the best thing to do is face it, find a solution, call animal control or critter control or whomever, and get rid of the snake. And that's the key to life, is these problems come at us. Nothing comes at us to punish us, to beat us up, to abuse us. It comes to wake us up. It comes to say, okay, where are you not taking care of yourself? Where are you not willing to stand up for you? And the more you face your issues, and you can always ask for support, and you can ask for other people to help you see into things. There's so many good things out there nowadays, that if you learn to confront it, even if you have to do it inside your home, you can walk it through like a movie and watch it over and over and over again until it's boring, and then you have the wherewithal and the stamina to be able to address situations when they come up. You can practice. You can practice in your home, talking to the wall. It doesn't care. You can talk in the mirror. It's the willingness to do something about it and open up to a solution instead of running from it.
Right. And, I think, there's a lot of fears that we had that we might suppress, right? That we might
not.
And I
you
think
can always tell, because they'll come at you during the day or night in dreams. They'll come at you. You guys know that as well as anybody.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think the first 3 parts of the 12, that I'm reading here are very important. Going back to the selfish, being selfish isn't a bad thing with a capital S. That's not being a bad thing. There's so much
it's the only
awareness.
thing.
Right. There's so much that comes out of that. And so facing your fears very much, I feel, is a part of that. Just
sure it is.
On
definitely.
That. Yes. But so I'm going to try to move through these quick because we've got callers. So the other one I know, the number 4 is liars lose. That's an interesting one. What do you mean by that? Liars lose.
Well, if you have to lie to attain something, I don't care if it's a white lie. Let's say somebody says, one of your best friends looks at you and says, do I look good in this dress? And it looks horrible on them.
Right.
All you have to do is turn it back around and say, well, what I feel is not important. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about how you look?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you. I watched a Rachel Ray show one time, and they were all she had some guests. They were talking about how it was okay to tell little white lies. Any lie makes you believe that you don't deserve to tell the truth. Now, as I said, I'm not advocating truth with a club. You can be nice. You can circumvent it. You can, and I don't mean avoid it, you can find ways to broach the subject very cautiously. But the key is, why do you feel responsible for another person? Why do you feel like you have to take responsibility and not tell your truth and not be who you are because you're allowing them to put you on the spot? Also, if I tell lies of any size, then I'm not going to trust other people ultimately because I know I lied, so I'm going to believe other people lie subconsciously and consciously.
Right.
And so it doesn't work, and it doesn't work to manipulate. If something is meant to be, you don't have to manipulate an outcome. You don't have to lie to get what you want. And if you do, whatever you've done to get what you think you have to have is going to remind you of your lies. That is so important to get across to people. My actions remind me of what I've done. And if it's truthful, then truth will come back. If it's lies, then lies are going to come back. And how many people point the finger at others and say, you did this, you did this. Well, you've got 3 pointing back. Did you do it? Have you done it? It's like a coin. It's usually either something I've done and feel guilty about or something I'd like to be able to do and won't give myself permission. And the more you learn to simply take the time to be honest with yourself on the inside and have a self-discussion, your actions can change on the outside, or at least you're telling yourself the truth, and that's what's so mandatory.
Yeah. Right. Well, that comes into, marginalize, motive, and manipulate. That's very much a part of that. Because once you lie, then you are, you do have motives to manipulate, right?
Right, because on some level, you must believe it's not really okay, or you wouldn't have to manipulate your way into it. How many people have gotten married through manipulation? How many people have gotten jobs through manipulation?
Many.
How many people have done? The manipulation doesn't work. It's going to blow up at some point because it's dishonest.
Right, and
only
you're
truth
just
is true.
It's a falsehood, when you things like that, such as marriage manipulation, in marriage, you can't keep that act up. I don't know anyone who can be married under that type of circumstance, where you manipulated ultimately to be in the marriage or whatever, it's a broad spectrum, that statement. But your happiness just isn't there. It's not going to survive it, right?
It can't be, because there's no substance to it. What is the substance of your life? What is the substance of your relationships? What is the substance of your employment? What is your substance of your life activities? Whatever the substance is what's going to keep breeding itself, let's say, keep outpicturing itself, keep manifesting.
Right. No, I totally agree. And the thing about this, I'm amazed about all of these is that, one is kind of woven into the next. So looking at the 12 guaranteed ways to be free, each one is just kind of goes into the next one. So it's quite fascinating. I'm gonna move through one more and then take a call. So number 9, which would be trade for gratitude. Okay, what do you mean by that? Trade guilt for gratitude.
Well, most people, I can't even tell you how many parents and how many people manipulate each other through guilt. And what I've learned is guilt is anger I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble for. It's feelings of anger or resentment or irritation or annoyance that I don't believe I deserve to own. It tends to be the smaller things. Or let's say you grew up in a family that's super responsible and you believe you're responsible for everybody because you were taught to be responsible. You have to give until it hurts is a good one. And it's learning that guilt are feelings that I'm judging as not okay. Maybe somebody leaves clothes on the floor. Maybe somebody's a slob. Maybe somebody's or you're a slob, but they're a neat freak. And so these polarities, as you've called it, tend to attract each other, so we can undo these feelings of it. Typically, I owe you. I'm responsible. Obligation, duty, and responsibility are what comprise guilt. So duty, feeling I owe, responsible. Families, let's say at Christmas time or during the holidays, I feel like I need to go home to be with my parents, but I want to go skiing. Well, you're not going to have a good time at home if it's not really your truth. The more loving thing to do is say, can we schedule it a different day? Can we schedule a different month? I want to go skiing, and the greatest good I could do for all my family is tell the truth and honor myself, and then I'm going to automatically honor you as well. It's like I tell people, if you're tired and it's somebody's birthday and you don't feel like getting them a gift or a card, then the energy that goes with that card is not sincere. Whereas if you say, hey, I was really tired, I send it late and say, I'm sending it a couple days late because I wanted to have my heart and soul in this gift or this card, then it's win-win for everybody. It's win for you and it's win for them because it's honest. And there's so much that goes on in this world that is dishonest, like anniversaries and birthday presents and holidays, all these things that are set up that are have-tos around duty, obligation, and responsibility. Anniversaries are a good one. How many people, they last minute or Valentine's is another one. They're all manufactured. And if people would be more honest and come up with creative ideas, there'd be a lot less tension in relationships or family situations.
It's funny you say that because oh, sorry, Ann, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I fully agree with that. We have 365 days every year. So we can actually celebrate whatever we feel for when it's the right time for each one of us each day.
Exactly.
All year long.
It's all manufactured anyway. You know,
Yes.
if you go back through the annals of history, and a lot of them don't match up, and it's like the wonderful scapegoat for you know, the reason the goat, that term came up was, you know, in the Jewish holidays they would put all their sins on the poor goat and send them out of the city, you know, and then they were all free. But it's like most of us are scapegoats for pleasing. We're martyrs, and the only people that win are the selfish with a little s people, but they really don't win because they know what they're doing is manipulative, and they never feel safe or trust anyone either. So even the people that do the cons end up feeling conned, or they never feel safe and comfortable.
Right.
There's no peace.
What would you say to those who have, you know, that tradition, you know, that family tradition, you know, such as the guy or the woman you were speaking of who wants to go skiing rather than come home for Christmas? What if the family response would be, you know, not so pleasant at that?
Well, what I would say to them is, you probably aren't going to like this idea, or I don't know how you're going to feel about this idea, or I've done this all these years, and for once I'd like to do something for myself. And the question to the person who is being broached with having to do this is to say, what are you so afraid of? If they really love you, are they going to say no?
Yeah.
If they really have your highest good in mind, are they going to say, don't go, you have to be here? If it's subjugation, there's no love in it. Is there love in the decisions that are being made? Is there honesty in the decisions?
Right. Yeah. No, you know, I could just see many a family fights occur because, you know, one person wants to break tradition and do something for themselves, and that other, you know, that whole family environment, which I'm not putting down, you know, I think there's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, when someone wants to break away from tradition, let's say, and do their own thing, there's always going to be that pushback that comes, you know, from families. Well, what do you mean you want to do this? You know, we all do this on this day. You know, there's nothing wrong with being an individual, you know, and wanting to do your own thing. Families should, and I agree, families should say, you know, do it.
And
what
could be said as well is, it doesn't. If I'm not here, it doesn't mean I love you any less.
Right. No, I agree. It's you know, it's a really deep dive. I find this book to be a very deep dive into the human condition and the things we do.
But please,
you know,
please help everybody understand. I made it funny. It's about a detective that goes to a place called Misery, and I kept humor in it, and I made it non-judgmental, no shame, and it's very poignant. It's funny and it's poignant at the same time, so that you can take it in and digest it. Made big print. I wanted lots of illustrations. I wanted it to be user-friendly, and yet it makes total sense, and it's very common sense wisdom.
Right. No, it's very interesting. I would highly recommend it to anyone. It's very interesting. So we are going to take some calls and I think answer someone in the chat room. Andrew, we have somebody in the chat room who had a question?
Yes, we have. So, Lil Fairy, I know that you are listening. You usually are. And the question from Lil Fairy is, I'd like to ask if you pick up anything about my cat, please. He's missing since Sunday. Thanks.
Well, I definitely feel like somebody else has this cat. Could you ask Little Fairy, Sissy, or Little Fairy, I know you're listening. Did you put out something as far as this cat missing, like a poster to ask if anyone's seen the animal?
Lil Fairy's typing something right now, so
Okay.
I didn't put up a poster. No.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like you need to, because there's someone who has possession of the cat, from what I can see. I'm just doing a quick asking on your behalf, and I can see someone has physical custody. I'm just not sure how that all came about. I would definitely put up images and a flyer if you have a picture of the cat with some information on how they can get a hold of you through an email. I would definitely do an email. Patricia, is there anything you sense with this?
Well, years ago, I had a wonderful teacher share with me this saying, and I've used it throughout my whole life and taught it to other people, and it works unbelievably well, and I don't know how or why it does. She said, always, if anything is missing, just start saying to yourself, there is always divine harmony.
Right.
There is always divine harmony. You just repeat it, not like a mantra, not like you're trying to get something done with it. You just gently say it to yourself. There's always divine harmony. Nothing can be lost in the universe. It has to be here. And then just let it go. And then just say it again maybe whenever you feel led to, and let it go. And as best as you can, let it go. Just let it go, which is the hardest thing in the world, especially with pets. I've had a bunch of cats my whole life, and it's you can do it for missing keys. You can do it if you're late to a meeting. It is amazing. You're acknowledging that the universe is expansive and total and complete, and you just let it go as best you can, and something will occur from my experience.
All right. Well, I hope that helped, Little Fairy. On my end, I'm just not seeing anything other than there is physical custody. Someone does have physical custody. So put that information out there the best that you can. And I don't disagree with Patricia. She's not saying let the animal go, so to speak, right? You are.
No, not the animal. I'm saying let the fear as best you can go.
Right. Let the fear go. Right. Yeah, because things are out of our control. They're just out of our control, and you have to hand it over to something that's bigger than yourself. And it's not always easy accepting that we don't have that control.
Right, that there's always divine harmony. Just keep saying that over and over again, person in the chat room. There's always divine harmony. I did it with my neighbor a couple of days ago. She lost her keys. And I said, she's not into any of this. And so I said, just give it a try, please. Just try it before you deny it. And so she did. And sure enough, it wasn't, I don't know, I don't like to give time, but it was a very short period of time. She writes an email, I found my keys. So it's like I'm asking you, just have a little faith, person. I understand. I love my animals too. So there's always divine harmony. There's always divine harmony. There's always divine harmony.
Right.
And stay as peaceful as you can.
All right. I hope that helped, Little Fairy. I'm going to move on to a caller. If you guys give me a second, I'll take our first phone call. Hello, caller.
Hello.
What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
Hi. My name is Janet. I'm calling from Virginia. And Tricia, thank you so much for what you shared. It was wonderful, and I believe it's 100% true. And Sue and Ann, thank you for the link to the Out of the Shadows documentary. I watched that, and it definitely is an eye-opener. I would like to see if I could get a mini reading, and I would like to ask a question as well.
Okay. Really quick. So I kind of heard you and kind of didn't. What did you think of Out of Shadows?
I think it is very true that we have been taught things, and just like Patricia was just discussing about, yourself, You know, we've been taught a lot of different things, and I think the main thing is for us to actually connect and feel what we feel in our heart is right about things.
Right. So watching that, you kind of understand there's just this kind of conditioning we've all had, and
exactly.
But
like a programming. Yeah.
Right. Intuitively, you knew something isn't right here. You just knew it and couldn't put your finger on it. And I think that documentary or that film was kind of the beginning steps, in my opinion, the beginning step to awaken, to say, hey, what I felt this whole time that didn't feel right, this is pretty interesting. You know, this is kind of confirms what we feel, I guess is the best way to put it.
And that's why I say just tune into your inner being, and I always say that is your heart feeling, you know, what your soul, you're feeling in your soul and your spirit. Right.
Okay, Janet, what could we do for you, by the way? You said you wanted a reading. Was there something specific?
Yeah, I'd like to get a mini reading, and I have a question to ask also. When a soul passes, do they see and feel any hurt or distress they've done to people or a person and what they have caused? And do they stay around to that people or person to help comfort and help them?
Well, one, I know intuitively through soul realignment and the Akashic Records that, of course, there's an individual thing here. So I don't think I think we're all unique, and our beliefs are unique. I'm going to see if Patricia has something, and I'm going to douse a little bit more into that question for you. Are you asking for someone specific for yourself?
I'm asking for a family member, yes.
Right. Patricia, was there something you can offer here?
Well, what I would suggest is that the person who's asking about the one who passed, if they would write down what it is, the characteristics that they feel need to be forgiven, changed, let go of, atoned for, whatever the circumstances are, write those situations down, and then ask themselves, I teach everybody, do a U-turn. Turn it back to myself. What's this bringing up for me? Well, this person is like an actor in his or her play, and part of their role is to try and agitate, stoke, irritate, love, whatever it is, to show us what we need to do somewhere in our lives for ourselves. So the best way is inner investigation or inner discovery, and write down a list of the things that this person is concerned about or wants to know about. Do they heal on the other side? And then as that person heals, they probably, from my understanding and what I've read and listened to lots of NDA experiences and whatever, near-death experiences, then there's a unified letting go, a unified healing, a unified passing through whatever these barriers have been in their lives.
You know, it's funny, Ann and I did a show on near-death experiences. We kind of had a couple months ago. I have to go back and look. It's funny you talk about that because there seems to be some uniform things with everyone who has passed and come back. They all seem to say the same thing. Certain events occur, and and it's quite interesting. That's how I actually got into this, was by losing family members first and having my own transformation, Janet. One of the first things I looked into were some books, and I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'd have to go back to my shelf or the past show that I did that have some really great stories with those. I was seeking answers, with family that I lost. And it was a way for me to finally decide, where do I really stand? How do I really feel about this? where do I stand on the spiritual sense? And I needed something to grab onto. And I think that's what basically you're speaking for someone else, is they need something to grab onto here. They need some answers.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about having some peace about that loss. And the thing I can tell you, if you just Google books on near-death experiences, there are so many great books out there, and they're so helpful to family members who have lost a loved one. There's such great information in those stories, and there's a lot of peace that you can get from reading those books.
Okay, I'll suggest that. I sure will.
I would just say, because what I see and what I hear is, every soul has its own unique signature and experience. Things that would keep us here or things that would move us on. But the one thing that's uniform is time does not exist. So as a soul, we can move through places and be in places, several places at the same time, so to speak. So I think what she needs is something a little more solid than I can give in just 5 minutes. And I would really start with near-death experiences.
There's some great videos on YouTube as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There's a conference called SANDS, SANDS, I believe. And I've watched several. It was from back in 2009. And there were some really powerful stories on that one that just really, they made me feel grand. I mean, you just feel like, it's okay, and that they're all right. And then we have to deal with how we feel with our losses. They're doing fine. It's us that we have to deal with our emotions, that it's bringing up for this, and that's where they're an actor or actress in our play, helping us to look, if we're smart, if we're wise, to look inside and say, what's this bringing up for me? Why am I at such a loss? If, like couples that have been married forever and one of the spouses go, like that Ricky Gervais show, he's got a show on that's he's upset because his wife dies of cancer, and they were really close and just a tight pair, and he can't stand being alone. But part of the play is that we have to learn to be with ourselves. And if a spouse passes, can I love me as much as I love my spouse or my significant other? Can I love me as much as I love my pet? Can I love me as much as I love my parents, my siblings? So sometimes when these people leave, like my sister, leaving very young age, she was only 22, it showed me that my life was on everybody else except me. I wasn't in my life.
Yeah, and that's the way it is with most people. It really is. Most people are that way.
I know,
especially mothers.
But we have
mothers.
to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's about valuing you as much as you value others.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, Jen, I hope that helped.
Yeah.
Was there another question you had?
No, that's it. And I would just like to get a mini reading real quick, if you don't mind. I know you got other callers, so thank you.
I'm going to have to forego that for now, if you don't mind, because we took up a little more extra time with this.
Yeah, that's okay.
But we're on every week. And you can always call back next week.
That's
with your question.
Thank you so much, lady. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Janet. Bye.
Thank
you.
You.
And if you haven't called in, you can call in at 213-943-3587, just to let everybody know. Okay, let me move on to the next caller. Give me a second. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Suzanne, Long Island.
Hi, Suzanne. Welcome.
Thank you. I was just wondering what you see. Want changes in love life and career.
Love life and career, huh? Well, I don't know. There's a big stalemate going on right now, isn't there? Kind of feels like everything is stalled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Career, I see career moving forward for you. Relationships, the only reason why I'm not is because I'm hearing some more self-internal work has got to be done.
I don't agree with that. I've been alone a long time, and I'm really open to it. I'm talking to someone now, and we're getting along, talking, and we're going to meet for a social distance walk. So I'm definitely open. There's no more internal. I've been alone a long time. I'm over everything.
No, I'm not saying it's internal doesn't mean you can't bring someone into your life. The internal means there's still something internal that's got to be worked on. It doesn't mean you can't. I have to laugh though. Okay, when I hear social distancing, how are you going to meet someone with social distance?
You can meet in a park or a beach and stand 6 feet away and take a walk because we're allowed to walk in the fresh air. The golf courses are open.
Yeah, it still boggles my mind about how that's all going, but I digress. Sorry about that. No, I'm not saying something isn't going to occur as far as relationships. I'm just saying there's some internal work, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing anything about this particular person you're supposed to meet, but Patricia may have a little more than me. Patricia, are you there?
Yes. What are you looking for this person to do?
What do you mean?
Well, you said you want some. What are you looking? Are you looking for getting married?
I'm looking for marriage and to live with somebody and a relationship down the road. You have to start off at dating first. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, what I would start doing, and this works like a charm if you'll do it for like 30 days, you start having gratitude and just appreciation for everything in your life, for everything, for every person in your life, for every romantic situation you've had, for the friendships you have. Start having gratitude for what I have, because what the mind or the ego wants you to do is look out there and say, my solution is out there, out there, out there.
No, I'm gratitude for everything. I thank God and the universe, everything that I have. I'm not looking to someone to, be my savior. I'm looking for a companion, someone to have dinner with, to eat with, to go gardening with, a life partner.
Well, then, if what you're saying is true, then it will. Seems to me, from everything I've learned, then it should very well manifest itself, and it shouldn't be an issue whatsoever.
Okay.
Just remember, I would keep asking myself, is it real for me? Is it real for me? Is what I'm saying, is my truth matching my heart? Is it real for me? Do I love me? Can I be content with me? Do I respect me? Do I enjoy my own companionship? And if that's true and it's real...
No, it is. It's just who wants to be alone for the rest of their life? I do enjoy my company. I've been, but who wants to, just go through life alone? No. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I have to, what I'm getting.
The human condition. No one allow yourself.
Allow yourself to be very gentle, and think of it like a butterfly landing on your hand. Think of a butterfly coming towards you, or a little bird or something, very gentle, and let it come to you on its own. Let it come to you. Time doesn't matter in the spectrum of the universe. Time does not matter. So the more you don't have a desire, the more you can let go of desire, no expectations, then it can land on you. Let it land on you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hello?
Oh, I think I think we lost her.
No, she hung up.
Yeah, I think so.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
I mean,
are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Are you
yes.
there? No, I'm
here.
real clear.
That's weird.
No, I'm clear on.
Everybody's on. Okay, that's okay.
Well, that in my, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I'm probably going to really push some buttons for people, but that kind of behavior right there shows exactly why somebody's not there.
Yeah, I think what she's saying is she's gone through everything, gone through all the steps and done everything she's needed to do, and
But it's her idea
in her mind
of what she needs
time.
to do.
Right,
Huh?
right. I think
it's
in
not,
her
it's
mind,
not the universe's idea or God or whatever you want to call it, schmerz, it doesn't care. It's energy. If it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. And it's going to land like a butterfly. It's not going to come in
right.
like a hurt buffalo. It's going to be gentle, and it's like, to me, it felt very conditional, and it felt very forced. And that's not going to work. Not for what she says she wants in her heart. I mean, from my experience, and I've been doing this a long time, and maybe I'm wrong. I wish her the best. I hope this man works out or person works out, and that she's very happy. I really hope she's happy.
Yeah. Look, I understand her side of, doing all the work, the self-work. And as a human being, we don't want to be, most people don't want to be alone. They have trouble being by themselves, or they want that companionship. That's completely understandable. Sorry, Sissy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. No, I just wanted to add because it's very human to know to listen to what's going on, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And now I have done all the work with myself. But when we are in resistance of accepting the situation that is present for us at the very moment, then we're not going to proceed with what we want, because we approach that from a point of lack. So we focus on the lack. So that's what we're going to experience more of. And maybe that sounds a little easy to say, and it is easy to say, but it's a process, and it's very important to just acknowledge, to come from a place of accepting and feeling gratitude in the moment. That's and even forgiveness, that's something that comes up from within us. Because I also, like you, Patricia, I have been reading A Course of Miracles. I haven't studied it like that for years, but I have been reading it off and on, because they are talking about forgiveness. That's so very important. So forgive ourselves, forgive what's occurring, accepting. If we can't feel gratitude in the moment, then we will most likely feel stuck. We create a form of a blockage for ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense.
Exactly. Right. And you can't, I don't care if it's been a whole lifetime, you can't demand when a relationship's going to come about. And typically, if one does, then it's not one that it has substance to it. I mean, I've learned we're here to live right, just like you were saying, Anne, right here in this moment, right now. I live my days staying right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. That's what I say all day long, and I stay with right here. And I do what comes to do, and I follow my soul and my heart and do the tasks that are put before me, realizing I of my own self can do nothing anyway. I'm here to be a conduit, per se. And life works very beautifully that way. I watch things happen that I don't even know how they are done. If something needs to be done, and the next thing it's over and done. And because I'm going with the flow of life, like let's say a log going down a river, and I'm not here to be in charge. I don't know what's best for me. I certainly have proven that over the years. And so I've learned to let go and open up and be in the moment and be at peace in the moment, whatever. And sometimes I get angry and sometimes I yell and scream and whatever, but like a little baby, until you become as a child, you never enter the kingdom. It doesn't mean childish, it means childlike. You feel sad, you feel sad. You feel open, you feel open. You feel hungry, you're hungry. You take a nap, you need to eat. Whatever. It's like learning to allow the moment and not demand.
Yes, and also not to resist feelings that we consider as bad, because I'm sorry for my voice. I'm sorry. I've been
That
quiet for
pollen.
too long. Now it's better. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I am affected from the pollen. But I've been in that place too, because some years ago I found myself for more than 2 years, maybe 2.5, almost 3 years, like sitting behind the doorstep. I couldn't take myself over. I couldn't understand, what am I doing wrong? I'm trying to work on myself. I do all the right things, but there were still some things that needed healing and work with, and I got some help with that. But the main thing is also to actually, when we are resisting what we are experiencing in this very specific moment, then we're going to get stuck in that moment. So it's quite simple if you can try to see it that way. It doesn't mean that it feels comfortable all the time, because we feel uncomfortable when we are in resistance, right? And that's also very human. And we're not supposed to judge ourselves. We're just supposed to observe, understand, and see what we are doing, and then we can work on that part and release that part.
Right, and there's three little things that are cute that I think I have them in the book too. What you resist persists, what you fight you feed, and what you focus on appears.
Increases,
so,
yes.
Wow. Well, I'm going to let everybody know, our callers and listeners know, we're probably have to wrap it up, because I don't want to run out of the clock, Sissy, and take another phone call. If I take another phone call, we'll definitely be kicked off the board. So thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can always call us next week if we haven't taken your phone calls now. Sorry, Sissy. I was going to hand it off to you here for a minute.
Yay, it's my time again. It's my time to talk, right?
Yes.
Always joking. So anyway, it's good to have some laughter. Don't take things too seriously all the time, and that's a way of seeing things from a bigger perspective. So on today's show, we have welcomed special guest Patricia Li Zerman, discussing how can you honor you. And it has been a really great and fantastic show. And we have been talking about how you actually can honor you, and that's very important, because the most important relationship you can have all time, ever, is the one with yourself. If you can't have the one with yourself, it's going to be a struggle. So you need to connect with yourself first and your soul. If you want to connect with Patricia Li Zerman, you can find her at AtlantaAwarenessCenter.com, AtlantaAwarenessCenter.com. I also posted links, 3 different links in the chat room at scrollsofthesoul.com/live, scrollsofthesoul.com/live, so you can go there and read more about Patricia and the links how to connect with her. Our next upcoming show here on Scrolls of the Soul Radio is next Thursday, May 7th. Oh, we're going into May. Wow. With Soul Sister Show, and we will be talking about soul realignment. And we bring you new, exciting, special topics connected to soul realignment each first Thursday of the month. So that's the plan. Sometimes we can reschedule a bit, but that's our usual plan. So tune in and listen. Plus, we take your calls for questions and mini readings live on air. We'll be on same time as usual, 10 a.m. Pacific in the U.S., 6 p.m. London, 7 p.m. Sweden, and 8 p.m. Greece in Europe. And know that you can always listen to replays of all our shows anytime at scrollsofthesoul.com/past, scrollsofthesoul.com/past. And you can always keep yourself updated on upcoming shows at scrollsofthesoul.com/upcoming, scrollsofthesoul.com/upcoming. And if you'd like to connect with me, Anne, or Sue, you can find us at scrollsofthesoul.com/Sue or scrollsofthesoul.com/Anne. And if we didn't have a chance to take your call this time, please call into our next show, or why not go to scrollsofthesoul.com/live next time, and you can write a question in the chat room, and we try to answer that during the show or in the chat room itself. So thank you, everyone, really, and thank you so much, Patricia Li. It has been the greatest honor to have you on, and I've been listening here behind the scenes, and I'm really fascinated about. I'm going to actually go and grab your book, so you have to do that, all of you who are listening too. And we're back next Thursday, May 7th, with Soul Sister Show, talking about soul realignment. And we always, first Thursday every month, we bring you a new exciting special topic connected to soul realignment. So, Sue, do you have anything you want to tell the listeners before we end the show?
I'd like to invite Patricia back just to give out any information or websites that she'd like to give, or even the book, where the book can be purchased before we wrap it up.
You can go to the Atlanta Awareness Center. It has all the links to Amazon, and it's an ebook as well as a paperback, or you can go straight to Amazon.com for 12 Guaranteed Ways to Be Free! ! By Patricia L. You have to include the L. Zerman, and they can go to my website. You're welcome to email me if you have any questions. The email address is on there, as well as a phone number. And I really love what I do. It's my passion, my heart's desire to support people who are serious. So people who are serious that would like to change their lives, open up their lives, have more, be content. I'm more than willing to work with people that are sincere. That's all I can say. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to argue.
Yeah.
I've done this a long time.
Right.
And
you have to have a willingness.
Yes. You have to, and it's got to be real. So, and I really appreciate the exposure and letting people know, because we're all here to live the best life we can, especially with this major enlightenment going on, this great awakening that's occurring all over the world. I'm ecstatic that it's occurring. It may not be a fun time to live through, but everybody's being pushed to wake up.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And that's a blessing.
Patricia.
That is a blessing.
It sure is.
You broke up.
Go ahead, Ann.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I said it's a true blessing that the awakening is actually starting to show, because it's very obvious what's going on. So even if it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's a blessing. And there is light at the end of the tunnel, always. There is.
Well, there's always light, and it's like that's what we have to remember, that even the darkness can't be seen without the light. So the light is always present.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, listen. Thank you, Patricia, for coming on.
Thank you.
We're so glad you came on, and maybe we can do this again. There were 12 different steps to this, and I think we tapped into maybe 5. Maybe we'll have to do it together in the future.
Well, what's really fun is walking through it, walking through situations so people can see how it works, and that it's so apropos for anybody's life, and they're so simple. Once you get the hang of it, they're so simple that anybody who drives you crazy, pushes your buttons, makes you feel rejected, sad, whatever, is your best friend, because they're showing you where you have work to do.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That first part, we're not always we're gonna fight that one. That's for sure. But I don't disagree with that. Okay.
It's a losing battle. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We're so glad you were here. And thank you to our callers and our listeners. We always appreciate everyone coming on with us and trusting us with the information and your questions. Just going to say a quick shout out to my mom. Angels watch over you all night long. And Ann?
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you once again, Patricia. It has been a real bliss to have you on. And Thank you, everybody, for interacting with us, calling in, and chatting with us. And I say love, light, peace, and joy to all of you. Until next week. Bye.
Bye.